News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
You've listed off a number of incredible, enduring hits that Paul Anka has written over the years. Does it get how easy or hard was it to write a hit song then, and when you sit down and write now, like what's the difference?
There's no real difference other than you're in a better comfort zone today, because when I'm a kid, I'm just writing about that limited view of kid experience teenagers. You're being motivated by Disney telling you to stay away from our Annette.
Yet you're
May she rest in peace.
Yet you're incredibly prolific at a very young age, and
but you develop. So
yeah.
what you arrive at is you know your craft better. You know how to sit and really craft a song, where to hesitate. Just a lot of technical things. But when you're a kid, you're just singing it out. You know, today, writing's a lot easier for me than it was back then, but there's not as much to write for. You know, the music business has changed. For the new CD that I have out, I've got everyone in the world on there, you know, and Leon Russell is a new song that I wrote. And it's on his album, it's on my album. And when I put that album together, I wanted to have a couple of new songs, and I do. I have 2 new ones on, and then you've got the Michael Jackson, which is comparatively.
Okay, so let's talk about the new CDs duets, and I'm gonna mention some names, and I want you to tell me about the song that you recorded with them, and your thoughts on these artists. Dolly Parton.
Great artist, wonderful woman, very talented. She fit in the vibe that I wanted in not creating an album first and asking a bunch of people to come in on a commercial kind of dynamic, because it's a swing album and somebody's hot. So with Dolly Parton, I had this country pop song, Do I Love You? It was #1 country record with Donna Fargo, and she's a great interpreter of song. And
I almost didn't recognize her voice when I first heard
Really?
it. I found it very moving, a beautiful song.
Yeah, well, she was, people really picking up on that track. So that was a great experience having Dolly on there.
Michael McDonald.
He's an old friend. He's a great artist, very distinct. Doobie Brothers. He and I wrote the song. I like pairing him up as I did with George Benson, because I think they're right from that same milieu. And he's got one of the great voices that's so recognizable, and a very, very talented writer and musician.
Peter Cetera. That's I think my favorite song on the album.
Yeah, it's a song I do when I do my performances. Cetera's got another one of those guys with a very unique sound. Really needed somebody that had that sound. And I find that Hold Me Till the Morning Comes is a song that will be done by others, and it's one that I'll do more than anything on that album.
I'm a huge Tom Jones fan. I didn't realize you wrote She's a Lady.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything you didn't write?
Oh, there's a lot. Tom
Jones.
Well, Tom Jones and I go way, way back, and we knew each other as friends, and we would be very social together in Vegas. We'd be very social together in London. And I would go and do his television show, and he'd said to me that he never had, of all his success, this is amazing, I've never had a #1 record. And I said, wow. And he said, you know, you've written this and this and Sinatra. He said, can you write me a song? So after knowing him and knowing I had to get that macho, sexy vibe going, case in point, I wrote She's a Lady really for him, because that's a song that I would never do or try to start first. And if you said to me, is it your favorite song? I'd say it isn't. I mean, I like it, but it was really specifically written for Tom. He does a great job, and he's really a good stylist. He's got a very, very strong voice. And in the book, I tell the story of when I was doing his TV show, where She's a Lady emanated from, because I wrote her on the back of a menu. Flying home, I was staying at the Dorchester Hotel, and it was a long trip in from the studio, and I got in about 1 o'clock, and it was this very fancy Dorchester with butlers and foo-foo. And like, hello, how are you, Mr. Anka? Pleasure to see you. And I called for room service, and this butler showed up, with excess clothing on, and he said, can I help you? And I said, well, I'd like to order some dinner. He said, well, yes, not a problem. He said, but if you don't mind, sir, Elizabeth Taylor is staying next door. She's not feeling well, and Sir Richard is away. I'd like to give her food first, and then I'll bring yours. I said, oh, yeah, cool. I'm going to take a shower, get this makeup off. So I jump in the shower. Okay. About 10 minutes later, doorbell. Food. So I jump out. I throw a towel on. That's it. You got to look at me with a towel on. I look like a fire hydrant. So anyway, I go to the door. I open the door, and there stands Elizabeth Taylor in a negligee, like a night outfit.
Yeah.
We're not talking skirt, and she's holding 2 cats. And I am looking at this beauty with those eyes, right? And in all our lives, as cool as we think we are, and our egos and everything, no matter who you are, you'll come upon someone in your life that you encounter where you are totally tongue-tied, intimidated, right?
Yeah.
That was it for me. I was such an idiot. I got to remember, he's out of town. I got Elizabeth Taylor in front of me. I don't know what to say. I think I talked to the cats more than I spoke to her. But anyway, that came out of that Tom Jones experience. And I got on the plane, I think, the next day, and I started writing She's a Lady.
Celine Dion.
Love Celine Dion. Celine Dion, Renee. This is one of the great artists of all time. Working with her was a joy because Celine Dion is a total professional. This woman takes everything she does very seriously and with great integrity. And if you said to me, and I've said this years ago, who's going to be around, Canadians or whatever, it will be Celine Dion. It will be my buddy Michael Bublé, because they're absolutely playing the game right. They know how to behave. They're total professionals, and they've got the stuff. And I love that track, the Hard to Say Goodbye with Celine.
A couple of duets on the CD with people who have passed. Michael Jackson and Frank Sinatra. What is that like, to get into the emotion of a song like that?
Really emotional. We live in a technology age, media-driven society, right? It's all technology. My life for years has been going in a studio way back when, doing it live with an orchestra on a little piece of tape, trying to get out of my head into a piece of tape from a band that's there. There's none of this technology stuff. So it's a much different process. Now, all of a sudden, you have this incredible luxury of when you make this new album and you're doing this duets album, not only because of technology. Can I be in L.A. and talking to somebody in Nashville, or Willie's doing Crazy in Nashville, but I can now take the voice of Michael Jackson, the voice of Frank Sinatra, and start singing in a studio as if they're there. And they are there. And the great luxury is they're not going anywhere. They're not coughing. They don't say, I've had enough takes, like Sinatra. You are flying in this voice.
Yeah.
The band is there, or they've gone, and they're literally in the booth with you. Now, that's spooky. It's incredible. It's emotional that you can be standing there singing with and to the greatest greats, diametrically different, in our industry.
Talking about emotional, I wanted to ask you about the Willie Nelson duet, Crazy. It made me tear up. What is it about a song that specifically moves people? Is it the tone of the music? Is it the words? What's been your experience?
It's a combination of dynamics that have to come together. Crazy is one of my favorite tracks, and I chose Crazy because it's one of my favorite songs I wish I'd written. It's a great song. But when you've got a lyric and a melody that really matches, and the arrangement that all come together, because you can miss in putting something together. All those buttons in a human, a consumer, a fan, they start to sizzle subliminally or consciously because of a personal note, something they've gone through, something they're going through, or the sheer fact that you can't avoid feeling emotional because of the magic of music. Music is truly magic. It opens emotions. Forgetting the state of our business today, you will always need music. I've seen it strip down the most powerful. When I went to Russia, and I'm singing for a guy like Putin, who you have a perception of, the moment he hears My Way, or gets a chance to sing it, it takes them right down to that core, to where everything is open and alive. And that is, there's certain records today that I'll play, or songs. I'll sit down and listen to Sinatra and strings. I'll listen to Yo-Yo Ma, Ennio Morricone. And when I'm by myself and I got my glass of wine and I want to just open up and cry or whatever, that's the stuff I play. I can never avoid feeling the way that I feel when I hear certain things because of music.
Paul Anka, it's been a great pleasure. I could see why Howard Stern's told Larry King that you're his favorite interview ever.
Well, he's a hell of an interviewer, I got to tell you.
Isn't he the
He's
best
great.
interviewer? Yeah.
Absolutely. And I must tell you that the book, indirectly, is because of him and how, when I told my stories, going on there, not his sandbox, but he was fascinated with Vegas and the calls started coming in. Please write a book, write a book, write a book. That evolved into the editor and the CEO of St. Martin's calling, who had heard that and said, yeah, you should write a book.
Were you able to tell everything? I mean, what really happened when Liz Taylor came to your door? How did that end? Were you able to tell the whole thing?
She kept banging on my door for 20 minutes, and I finally had to let her out. The answer to your question is no, you don't tell everything, okay? But let me tell you what it is. I had to make a decision of writing this book the way I wanted to and not making it fluff, because there's so much BS out there because of obviously the state that we're in, that I didn't want people just writing it off as, oh, he's really playing it safe. I needed to tell without malice, without judgment, everything that I witnessed and knew firsthand as opposed to hearsay. So when I talk about my buddies that I grew up with, when I talk about many situations in there, it may knee-jerk a couple people who have personal agendas, but by and large, the public, the people I've interviewed with, they love the honesty of what I've said in there because it's all public domain. There were no confidences broken in there. A lot of the stuff I kept out because it would have been crossing the line. But who cares? You know what Frank and those guys did? They were human beings. And the message in the book was, true, they're great artists. True, they were different. But they made decisions. They did things that you wouldn't have the guts to do, whether it's the women, the booze, and all that. But you know what? Like Sammy would sit and say, we're passing through once. It ain't a dress rehearsal. This is what I like to do. How dare any of us stand in judgment of that? I'm there to just tell the truth, tell what I heard, what I saw, and let the chips fall where they may, with a lot of love for a lot of these people.
It's a great pleasure to meet you.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Paul Anka with a CJAD microphone, our latest employee. There you go.